Football, bloody hell! Bloody hell! Hey everyone, how's it going? It's the Flying Pig here on Flying Pig United with a little live reaction video for you. Sorry, I just spat everywhere. Reaction video for the Manchester United versus Newcastle United game that's just finished 3-2 to Manchester United at Old Trafford. Come on, my son! Get in there! Have some of that! Newcastle, and everybody else. Even though we're absolutely shit, we still managed to beat the Geordies. Oh, mangasm! Oh, man, I did not see that one coming. Everybody who's tuned in right now, thank you so much for stopping by on the channel. I was getting prepared to unleash an unholy rant on the team and how gash-tastic we are and get rid of Jose Mourinho, and 90% of that is still true, but you can't take away from the fact that Manchester United have just come back from a 2-0 defeat, basically, which was looking likely at half-time. We're 2-0 down. We conceded 2 goals in the first 10 minutes of the game. The first time that has happened at Old Trafford in Premier League history. The first time United conceded 2 goals in the first 10 minutes. That's how freaking gash we were. We were all over the place first half. But we still came back in that second half. We turned it on around about the 65th minute mark and actually started playing nice, attractive, attacking Manchester United style football. Why can't we just do that from the start, Jose? Oh, it was so good. It was just such an epic release at the end of the game there. Listen, this doesn't hide the fact that we're absolutely gash-tastic. This doesn't hide the fact that some of Jose's selections are an absolute joke. Even he knows that. He's taken Bailey off first half, put McTominay in midfield to begin with, dropped him back. He looked all over the place. You know, there's a lot of problems with this Manchester United side. There really, really is. The fact that Newcastle United are so shite and they managed to score 2 goals in the first 10 minutes goes to show you the team is lacking huge confidence. They're lacking in the belief in the system. They don't look comfortable out there. For the first half an hour of that football match, I genuinely thought these players are trying to get the manager sacked out there. That's how shit they were. They didn't look like they were bothered at all. The goals, the mistakes, unbelievably amateurish, and just you can't believe the amount of space the opposition was getting and the amount of chances they created. If Newcastle United could finish, they would have beat us 5-6-0 today, or at least been leading that up to half time, because they battered us that first half. It was a joke. But Manchester United came back in the end there. It doesn't, as I say, paper over the cracks of the problems we got at the moment, but it may just have kept Jose Mourinho in the job a little bit longer. I think he's had his time now at Manchester United. I don't see how he can get this club progressing. Even the fact we come back and won today, yes, it's great character, and that is awesome from the players there. And the last 20 minutes of the game were just an absolute joy to behold, because it was United at Old Trafford trying to fight to the very bitter end to win a game of football and turn around a 2-0 deficit and come back once again like we have time and time and time again in the history of this great club. And we're able to overturn and beat Newcastle United here at home, it's been a shocking place for us so far this season. We've had a mare at Old Trafford this season. So just to get that monkey off our back in one respect of getting that out of the way this amount of time, 8 weeks, I believe, since we had a win at Old Trafford. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I mean, it's absolutely shocking the form that we're in. And that was evident to see again today, because like I say, the players were all over the place. I mean, Ashley Young, mate. More like Ashley Clunge, pal. What are you doing, Ashley? Come on, Ashley Clunge. You were absolutely shocking today. At fault for the first 2 goals. He's our captain out there today. Freaking Captain Clunge. It was a joke. He's had a mare. You're old, pal, now. You're not young anymore. You are old. So jog on. There's a lot of players at United that are dead weight that we do need to look at improving, no doubt about it. And the manager position, there's so many question marks hanging over it at the moment. But it doesn't look like he's leaving. There was reports yesterday that it has actually been announced, or it was going to be announced possibly, that United had been looking at other managers and maybe they were going to make the termination of Jose, whether United beat Newcastle or not. But then they can't and backed him today. And I think that they will be backing Jose Mourinho for the foreseeable future. He's lucky that there's an international break now as well. We don't have to leap straight into another game. He's got a little bit of time now. And, you know, with all the pressure on him, that's obviously going to be a very good thing right now. It's funny because we've got this international break coming up. It used to be that England was so absolutely bang average gash that I would just not really be interested in that or be very disappointed by the performances of England and cannot wait until the international break is over so that I can go back to watching Manchester United. But now it's the other way around. Now it's like I'm watching United. It's absolutely depressing and drab and awful. And I was actually looking forward to watching Gareth Southgate's England for a change this upcoming international break. It's really strange that that's happened. But yeah, I mean, where do we begin with the actual performance of the players today? It's a game of two halves, it really is. It's chalk and cheese, it's night and day. The first 60 minutes of the game, certainly the first half of the game, we were a complete joke, a shambles all over the place. I was getting so sick of seeing this style of football. Don't know where it's coming from. As I say, the players didn't look like they wanted to play for Jose Mourinho, but Jose's tactics are obviously a complete joke. The selections are obviously a complete joke. And I thought they were trying to get him the boot, to be honest, with that first half performance. But then the second half, they showed that they are prepared to fight for Jose. They showed a bit of bottle and a bit of bollocks, a bit of brain. They were prepared to go out there and take the game to Newcastle United. And that's exactly what they did. Juan Mata, he came on, tactical change, came on. Bailey went off, McTominay dropped back, Juan Mata. He was the catalyst today. I thought Juan Mata was absolutely excellent. That free kick was majestic, but anytime he got the ball, he was trying to make something happen. He was harrying and he was hassling. He was such a good committed performance from Juan Mata today. So for me, he probably gets my man of the match today. I thought it was excellent. Martial had a very up and down game. At times he was absolutely gashtastic, and at other times he was fantastic. Obviously he got a goal for us, great to see. It just sums up his career at Manchester United, really. Very inconsistent, hit or miss. But yeah, I mean, I'm over the moon with the win at the end of the day. We got the win. It's not the way I would have liked to have done it in some ways. In some ways, it's actually better than going out there and beating them 4-0 because it shows that the players are prepared to fight for Jose. And that it shows that we do have some class in this team and they do have a bit of character. And they do actually have a bit of balls, you know, because I didn't think they had any balls. I was pretty sure they had no balls, this team. We didn't have a leader amongst them. And although that is true, you know, today they did actually... go for it. They did try and win the game and they did fight for their manager in that second half. That was a fantastic performance at the end of the game there, just to get over the line with those 3 goals, to come back 2-0 down against Newcastle. It's fucking amazing, lads and lasses. Let me know your thoughts on it. If there's any Geordies in the house, have some of that. I bet you were loving it at half-time, weren't you? 10 minutes into the game, 2 goals. What's happened though? That fat waiter, Rafa Benitez, is going to have to go back to freaking waitering soon. Because he's having mares. He's having mares. But it's not really his fault. Mike Ashley's joke. Newcastle Joke Club. Anyway, just think about what they'd have been saying if they won that game. But they didn't. They didn't win that game. Right, to everybody joining me right now on this live stream, thanks so much for stopping by. Feeling pretty buzzed up after that one. Let me know your thoughts and opinions on the game, on the players, on the manager, on the tactics, all that good stuff. What you think this means now for Jose. Are you Jose in? Are you Jose out? Let me know your thoughts and opinions on it. Do us a favour, chuck us a like on this video if you're in here right now and get your thoughts and opinions in. Gonna just go back through here. I saw a couple of super chats coming through. There's one here from Gungshi with 500 Taiwanese dollars. Thank you so much, Gungshi, for stopping by with your super chat and getting involved as ever. His comment along with it says, great to get those 3 points, but I still think Mourinho is the wrong man for United. I couldn't see any real formation or tactics. We were shocking in the first half, but good to see the fight in the second half. You basically summed it up there, really, Gungshi. I mean, it's fantastic to get the win. That's the most important thing at this stage because we don't want to see United languishing down there in 11th place or whatever. We've got to start winning games and putting runs together. And have you seen the upcoming fixtures we've got? Chelsea after the international break. We've got City coming up, Everton coming up, Juventus coming up. There's some really tough fixtures that United are going to have to navigate now. So it's very important that we won this game. And I'm not expecting a whole lot from those games, but there's less pressure on those games because the teams that we're playing are so much better that it almost takes the pressure off Jose to a certain extent. Obviously, United are expected to go out there and compete, and it's more about the performance. But if he loses those games, it's not like if we were to have lost this game today against Newcastle United. But yeah, you're absolutely right. That first half performance, the team was all over the place. They don't know their roles. They weren't comfortable in the system. It didn't look like he'd obviously put players in certain areas. Tomini in midfield didn't look comfortable. Dropped him back, didn't look comfortable. You know, it was some strange decision making from Jose Mourinho, and I have to echo your sentiments. I do not think he is the right man for Manchester United to progress this club, to take this club on, to give us a bright future. I don't see that. I just see him as being this very negative manager now, and it's not even working out. You know, when we first appointed Jose, I thought, okay, it's not the attacking minded tactical genius sort of, you know, tinker man that we're looking for in terms of attacking football, like a Pep Guardiola or maybe even a Kloppy or some dickhead like that. But he was a really good manager who's capable of winning games with his own tactical abilities, and that means that he can effectively get his teams playing systems that may not be the prettiest, may not be the fastest or the most entertaining or the most attacking, but they are effective and they're very, very defensively sound. But what we ended up getting is not this defensively sound team. It's actually the shambolic team, which is just incapable of really playing together in a unit, it looks like, who play defensive football, but it's not effective. We're not even good defensively. You could see that with the first 10 minutes of the game. We were all over the place. So he's got a lot of work to do. He really does. I personally would see him sacked now because I just think based on the amount of time he's had, based on the money he's had, based on all the controversies behind the scenes and stuff, I think it'd probably be a good time to make the decision and part ways with Jose Mourinho, because I think somebody else could maybe come in and take the club in the direction that we need to be going, which is in a more attacking vein. I mean, look at those last 20 minutes of the game. That's how Manchester United should be playing from the start. It doesn't matter if we concede more goals, as long as we score more goals than the opposition. That should be the key, really. It's just to go out there and entertain, but also try and win and attack. I mean, not all of the time, but generally against teams, certainly when we're at home, certainly against teams like Newcastle, who are not as good as us, we should be trying to look to dominate those games with a bit of flair, with a bit of attacking prowess. And we were able to demonstrate that for the last 25 minutes of the game, but before that it was absolutely gash-tastic. I mean, I wasn't sure if it was a Jose Mourinho team or if it was like David Moyes and Louis van Gaal had a Portuguese baby back in the 1960s or something that nobody knew about, and they've raised him to be a manager from the David Moyes Louis van Gaal school of football tactics, and it was just on display out there today. I mean, I really thought we were done with the Moyes days. I thought the Moyes days were bad. I thought the Louis van Gaal days were bad. Well, based on that first 45 minutes of that game today, the Jose Mourinho, days are much worse. They're really bad. Just based on how we were performing, how the team was playing, the players, everything. It just looked so all over the place and uncomfortable. And but like I say, we were able to turn it around. This probably buys Jose Mourinho a bit more time to have a mare with Manchester United, probably. I don't think it's going to happen for the lad. You could see that from the first 45 minutes of the game. United are all over the place. We were lucky at the end, really, to come back. I mean, yeah, we showed a lot of character to battle back, but Newcastle could have scored a whole lot more than that, if not for a good couple of saves from David De Gea, if not for some of their strikers spurning really well-created and crafted opportunities. United would have shitted the bed in that game. But luckily for us, they didn't, and they didn't put the ball in the back of our net more than the twice anyway, and we were able to come back and get that unbelievable comeback victory. That's what football is all about. It is genuinely a game of two halves. I'm not getting overexcited about this one. I'm not saying, oh, this is it now, we're on the right track. No, I don't think Jose can do it for us, because look at how the team were playing for the start of that game, and this is against Newcastle. We were shit. If we're coming up against City or Liverpool and we play like that, then it really could be a cricket score by half-time. So, yeah, I personally just think he's not really the right man for the job, and probably would be a good idea if we moved him on now. Alex Rudd in the house with a little cheeky super chat. Thank you very much for your comment here. Alex, he says, down you go, Newcastle, to the championship. Oh, it looks like it could well happen, and rightfully so. And I actually really like Newcastle United. Thank you for your comment, Alex, and your super chat. I really actually do like Newcastle in terms of their fans. Their fans are so loyal. They do sum up the word fanatic. They're crazy about the club. Even when they were in the championship, they get like 40,000 people a week and stuff. It's a very well-supported club, and their fans do deserve better. If there's any Geordies listening right now, I know I'm bantering saying you're a shit club and all that. It's only really because you've got a shocker of a chairman who basically just uses it as this big advertising billboard for his various businesses, and is looking at the bottom line, taking money out of the club. He's not really prepared to invest properly in the side, like a lot of the other clubs in the Premier League are having to do just to stay in the Premier League. He doesn't really do that generally. And the fans definitely deserve better at Newcastle United. I think they will struggle this year. I think it is likely that maybe they will be in a relegation battle. And there's only really one man to blame, in my opinion. No, it's not Rafa Benitez. Rafa Benitez showed in this game today with a very shite team in bad form that they can come to Old Trafford and score a couple of goals in 10 minutes and very nearly win that game. And he is a good manager. It's not really his fault. It's the chairman. That's my personal opinion on it. And I know it's a very popular opinion as well. James Arnold with a cheeky super chat. He says the real test will be at Chelsea, not Newcastle. Very, very true. I think they're playing Chelsea on, what is it, October 20th? You've got a bit of an international break now. We'll be playing Chelsea. They're looking very good this season. Their new manager's got them playing very nice football and winning games in a really good run of form. It's a lot more than could be said about Manchester United. Yeah, we beat Newcastle tonight. I mean, it's crazy that we even did that. If you were to tell me that at half-time United would come back with this team right now where we are, with Jose Mourinho as manager, come back and go on to win that game, I would have said you're an absolute bell chop. But no, we actually were able to do it. So that could be, I mean, may I just throw a bit of fuel onto the fire here. That could be the catalyst that takes Manchester United on to Premiership glory this season and Jose Mourinho becoming a club legend. I mean, I really don't think that's going to happen. But just imagine that. It could be like that FA Cup final all over again back in the day with Fergie where he's nearly lost his job. But because we went on to win it, he kept his job and then this whole legacy was created afterwards. Just imagine. No, it's not going to happen, is it? He's a Portuguese Mr. Bean Mera and it's time that he got on his bike and started peddling. Because he's been peddling his awful style of defensive football at Manchester United, his questionable selections for too long, in my opinion, and he has got the side playing very negative defensive football, and they look like a bunch of strangers out there. Even though the last half an hour was great, and it really was a fantastic attacking display from us, and a wicked comeback, it doesn't excuse the fact that the first 50 minutes, 60 minutes of the game, we were an absolute shell of the Manchester United side. Up until that point in this game, it was one of the worst performances from a Manchester United side I can remember in a very, very long time. So let's not paper over the cracks at the moment. There's huge problems at Manchester United. I'm going to go through all your comments now. Thank you so much to people tuning in. Really appreciate you getting involved. And as ever, do chuck a like on this video and get your thoughts in and I'll try and respond to them before I end this video. Maximilian7 with a comment here. How's it going, Maximilian? He comments and says, there was passion in Jose's emotions today for a change. Still believe we can find a better replacement, Pig. Yes, there was. He was out there willing his players on. He really was. You could see that on the touchline. The passion, the emotion was all on display today from Jose Mourinho. And it is refreshing to see. He is a man who is fighting to save his job at the moment. And not only his job, but save his reputation. Because it all ended in tears for him at Chelsea the second time around. Yes, he had a bit of success when he came back. And he's had success everywhere. But if it was to happen again at Manchester United, where he's lost another dressing room, and he's not been successful on a big budget, then that just makes his reputation lower. It makes his employability lower because there's all this controversy as well behind the scenes. Do you really want to take on a volatile manager like Jose Mourinho who's going to turn your side into a very defensive, negative team by all accounts, based on the last couple of managerial spells he's had, and may not even be successful? He's a lot less employable if he gets sacked from Manchester United at this moment in time. It could have saved his job, but a replacement, as far as a replacement goes, Maximilian, I would say that there are some good options out there, but of course, it'll be a huge plunge to take for anybody coming in for the job. It's a ridiculously tough job, this gig, trying to get this set of United players performing like a United team. It's very difficult because I don't think we've got a leader in the side. There's not a leader amongst them. I mean, yeah, you could say, Juan Mata's been excellent today, and at times Lukaku was driving the team forward today, but generally over the course of the season, we've lacked leadership out there on the pitch. We really have. And I think whoever steps into that fold and whoever comes to manage Manchester United after Jose Mourinho, whether that be very soon or in the future, I think he's got a ridiculously tough job on his hands. Let's face it, United are on a serious downturn at the moment. There's cycles in football, as I keep saying, and Manchester United, we are on a down tip at the moment. It happens to every football club. You can see Liverpool on the ascendancy again now. Manchester City on the ascendancy, even though you have to go back to like the freaking 50s or something before that until they were up there, or maybe the 80s. But yeah, I mean, it happens. There's spells of bad times at football clubs. Manchester United were very fortunate after having a very sustained, long, bad spell in football in the 70s and 80s, and even further back before then. Obviously, was successful in the 50s and 60s. until Alex Ferguson came along and we were able to start winning things consistently. And he actually rolled with that and surpassed what even anybody could really imagine in the modern game of football at the time, which was to sustain that level of success. You know, winning in 26 Premier League seasons, I think that he won half of those. I mean, that's quite unbelievable. So just the fact that we were saying goodbye to a manager like that, we've seen it's a very difficult job. Moisey coming in there, having absolute double days. The Dutch toad himself, Louis van Gaal, couldn't do it. Jose Mourinho, he did okay to begin with, but he's really struggled of late, and there's all this negativity surrounding the club at the moment, and we're playing absolutely shite, drab football most of the time. And it's just not, doesn't feel like Manchester United. It doesn't fit the club. He's not quite right for it. Whoever comes in, it's going to be very difficult to see us on the right path, whether it be Zidane or whether it be Ryan Giggs or somebody like maybe even Eddie Howe if you give him an opportunity. But it's a big risk. He's never managed at that level. I know he's got a championship side fifth in the table at the moment, playing unbelievable football. It's absolutely a joke that we're down where we are at the moment, actually. I mean, come on, Jose, sort it out. Yes, we got the win today, but it's a freaking joke, man. Bournemouth away above us. Bournemouth are playing much better football than us with a shitter set of players. Watford are above us. They got battered 4-0 by Bournemouth. That's how shit they are. And they had a good start to the season, you know, but these teams should nowhere be above us when it's October. I'm sorry. That's a calamity, Jose Mourinho. You're the man to take the blame for that, really, based on how you got the team playing over this season. Yes, we won today. It's fantastic. I was almost feeling joyous for a second then. I was almost feeling happy. But no, let's look at the bigger picture here. United are having mares. We've got a bunch of players who don't know their arse from their elbow. They're all over the place. Chris Smalldog, etc. Ashley Clunge, he was terrible today. You know, our defence is a shambles. It really is. It's all over the place. It's one of the worst Manchester United defences in history. It's the worst one I've ever seen by a mile. United in my early years always had a solid defence. We always had a great back line. Three legendary Manchester United defences I can think of in my lifetime. This most definitely is not one of them. This is a joke of a United defence. And until we improve upon these players, it's not just the system. Some of the players are just not up to the standard. But of course, a lot of it is Jose's system. A lot of it does come from the manager. James Arnold with a super chat. He comments and says the team showed some fight. They did. That was so refreshing to see because, in history, United is one of those teams that does come back from adversity. Not only with things like the Munich air disaster and winning the European Cup 10 years later, but also coming back from being down, deficits in games. You know, I think of that Tottenham game, we were 3-0 down at half-time. We come back and win 5-3. There's so many occasions like that. The Champions League final against Bayern Munich, we're down, we're out. Freaking Solskjaer and Sheringham at the end of the game, you know. We're a legendary football club for coming back and winning games when we're in positions where we shouldn't be. And today was just another one of those occasions where we really went for it at the end of the game. Everything clicked and we were able to get the better of a team we are better than. It should be the way. Warrington Train Spotter comments and says, why not back the manager instead of jumping on the sack? Jose bandwagon. I thought you were going to say jumping on his sack then. But jumping on the sack Jose bandwagon. Just imagine if you sacked Fergie in the early years, where would Man United be now? Yeah, well, I did say that a little bit earlier in the video. It's sort of like maybe this could be that game that keeps Jose in the job and he goes on to create this legacy at Manchester United, and it's just like a flip of a coin. But all roads lead to there, and that's exactly what happened with Sir Alex Ferguson. Of course, there were a lot of shouts from the fans at the time to get rid of him. If he wasn't successful at that FA Cup, he probably would have been sacked. And then this whole legacy that he created at Manchester United would have not been left, and it would have never happened. So I hear what you're saying, but I think it's a slightly different situation. Jose Mourinho was probably always going to be a short-term plan for us, and I think he thinks that. I mean, he's living in a hotel still. He's still living in a hotel. He's a guest in a hotel. Okay, he's managed the club for his third season now. He's freaking living in a hotel. I mean, come on. I think it's a short-term thing for everybody involved. A few years, steady the ship, use your experience, use your contacts, use your defensive tactics to steady the ship and maybe pick us up a couple of trophies along the way and be basically a stopgap until we get somebody in who is going to go on and progress the club, because obviously he's not getting any younger. He's already won absolutely everything there is to win. You can see from the way that he's hopped from club to club to club throughout his career that he doesn't necessarily really have that loyalty to any one club. I don't see him as being that stalwart at a club who's just going to stay here for like 10 or 15 years. even if that was possible in the modern game. I just don't see it with Jose Mourinho. I think he'll get bored. He'll want a new challenge. He'll want to go somewhere else where it's not cold. I don't know. But whatever it is, I think that it's always was a short-term plan. But I feel what you're saying, man. Maybe okay, we could back the manager. And if he's got this team performing and got us winning and gets us on the right track, then I will back him. But unfortunately for Jose Mourinho, and for my opinion of him, he's just not done it at all this season. He's let us down time and time again with selections, with tactics, with the shocking way that the team's actually going out there and playing, with all this controversy behind the scenes, with the lack of harmony amongst the squad. There's a lot of problems at the club, and a lot of them have to be, this responsibility has to be left with Jose Mourinho. Viraj Parmar comments and says, good result, but if it wasn't for De Gea, we wouldn't have won this game. How many games could we say that for? David De Gea is the best goalkeeper in the world. He's shown it again today. Some of the reflex saves he's made, he's saved our bacon time and time again today, as he has done throughout his entire Manchester United career. He's the best player in the world in one way. He really is. For the amount of points that he wins us, he's absolutely invaluable. And we've got a job of keeping him. We really do, because he's shown his loyalty to the club. We can see he has been a loyal lad, but he's Spanish. He probably would want to go back there. Is he ever going to win the Champions League at Manchester United? That's what you've got to ask. Like, does he want to go and scale those heights in glory and football? Or does he want to stay at a club that may not even be in the Champions League next season? There's a lot of questions that need to be answered, but hopefully we can do everything we can to keep hold of him, because he's worth basically all of the other players just combined. That's how many points he saves us. Sunny Dutt comments and says, Pig, I agree that this game is papering over the cracks and Mourinho isn't good enough, but let's not understate the incompetence of our own chairman, Mr. Ed Woodhead. Okay, well, Ed Woodward has had an absolute mare. Yes, definitely. Not backing the manager in the transfer window and solving some of the problem areas that we had in the side. No doubt about it. He's also just like a big Mr. Potato Hood looking man, isn't he? He's a little bit unsettling. No, thank you very much for your comment there. Gungshi with another comment here. Newcastle have always been a big club. The way they are being run is criminal. Yeah, I know what you mean. Like, if you look back when they had Keegan in charge, I don't know, I can't remember who the chairman was at the time, but he wasn't afraid to spend money. They broke a world record and signed Alan Shearer at the time for about £15 million, which seems like peanuts right now, but back then it was like, what? £15 million? And they weren't afraid to spend money back in the day. They assembled a really good team of players and fell short in the end there, but that lack of investment after Mike Ashley's come in has really cost them. They've been a yo-yo club going up and down to the Championship, to the Premier League. And it looks like they could be doing that again. And it's basically because of the chairman. The chairman is a disgrace, really, in terms of a footballing chairman. He's not somebody you want to be your chairman, because he's not a fan of the club. He's not a passionate fan of the club. He's a Londoner. I'm not saying that obviously necessarily means he can't be one, but he's not a Newcastle fan from birth, I don't believe. And he's just basically a very clever businessman who's using this opportunity to milk money out of the club, because there's so much money in football, all the TV rights, all the commercial deals, all the ticket prices, all that stuff. It equals a very nice pie these days, because there's so much money within the Premier League. And he is stuffing his face with that pie come the end of the year. He's not giving that pie and splitting it up and putting it back into the club to feed the poor fans. No, he is not. What he is doing is he is eating that whole pie for himself, or at least 90% of the pie. I mean, look at the state of it. No, I'm joking. I want to talk, but he's eating all of the pie, is what I'm saying, when he could be re-injecting that money back into the club. There's a lot of money being made by Newcastle United. They're a huge club with a very devout support, and also like all the TV rights and everything. It's hundreds of millions of pounds a year that these clubs generate. So they deserve a much better chairman than him. I totally agree. Thank you very much for your comment there. Roberto Bezic comments and says, please, United fans, don't get deluded saying, oh, we will beat Juve. Oh, Mourinho's turned it around. Yeah, I agree, man. Calm down if anybody thinks this has solved any problems at all. Look at how we were for the first half of the game. 2-0 down against a shitty Newcastle team within 10 minutes. It's a disgrace. We've got the quality to beat a poor Newcastle side. That's the reality of it. We do not have the quality, if we perform like that, to beat even an average Manchester City side or a Liverpool side or a Juventus side. I can see Juventus with the likes of Ronaldo causing us all sorts of problems with the defence that we've got. He's going to go to town on our defence, isn't he? They're going to run a train on our defence, Juventus are. So I think we've got a lot to worry about in those games. I don't see us winning those games. I'd love to be surprised. I'd love Jose to pull off some sort of masterclass and beat Juventus, but I don't see that happening myself. Lingo Star comments and says, our defence is woeful. It really is. Just to say it once again, we've got to improve the whole defence, in my opinion. They were all at fault today. Ashley Young, you're over the hill, pal. Luke Shaw, I'm sorry, mate, but there were times when I was really questioning your commitment. Usually you've been good this season, but you weren't even chasing back at times today. I thought it was poor. Smalling, what do I have to say about him? He's just garbage, isn't he? He's absolutely useless. Bailey got subbed off. We look much better without him on the pitch. I mean, you know, the list goes on. United have got such a poor defence. We don't have a quality world-class centre-back anymore, or even a centre-back pairing like we used to. We used to have Vidic and Ferdinand. Before that, you know, you had Brucey and Pallister and people like that. Yep, Stam. There were so many quality defenders at United, and that's just the actual central defenders, not including the wing-backs, which we definitely need to improve. And we've got aging players in those positions like Antonio Valencia, which eventually is going to have to move on, and we're going to have to get someone in. And Dallo looks great, yeah, sure. But we need a marquee player, somebody who's ready-made, who can go in there and be a top-quality centre-back for us. We've been needing that for 5 years. And that prick, Ed Wood, if he would get his head out of his arse for 2 minutes, might realise that. But there you go. Right, I'm just going to take a couple more comments, and then I'm going to get on my merry way. Alex Rudd comments and says, this win may be a loss in disguise if Jose stays. Well, that's very true, man, because if we had a loss to Newcastle today, then that would have almost forced the issue even more, which is the fans, there's so much unrest, and we're very unhappy about the way the club are playing, and we're not even getting results, and we're right down there in the second half of the table. The pressure would have mounted, especially over the international break. If they'd have not made the decision tonight or tomorrow, all that time over the international break, maybe they would have just come to the decision that he's not the right man for the club and he's not going to take us on. But because we've come back, we've fought back, we've won the game today, it may just well buy him a bit of time. And like you say, that could be the loss, because that is bad for Manchester United in one way if we continue in the same vein that we have done from now to from the start of the season till now, because we've been absolutely a joke. And if that continues, then we really are going to struggle this season. I mean, really, does anybody really think that we can get in the top 4 position come the end of the season right now with Jose as our manager? Maybe if somebody else came on and we just started instantly winning, which is very unlikely, then maybe. But look at the next fixtures we've got up. Seriously, we've got teams like Chelsea, City, Juventus, Everton are a tough fixture as well. We've got these games coming up next after the break. So how are we really going to navigate those games and get all the maximum amount of points to which we would need to get our season back on track? I hope Jose surprised us. I hope the team can do it. Just imagine if we beat Chelsea, we beat City, we beat Juventus, we beat Everton, then we are right smack bang on there. Then the confidence is high. But this game, this one game, doesn't make me change my opinion, doesn't make me think that is actually going to happen in the slightest, because we've just been so gastastically bad this season. We really have. And it was actually summed up today in the first part of the game. It really was. Even though we went on to win it, that was a terrible overall. It was a pretty bad performance from Manchester United. We're just lucky that Newcastle was so shite. We really are. Comment here from Alex Rincon. How's it going, Alex Rincon? Thank you very much for getting involved. He says Woodward out, echoing the sentiments of everyone in here who hates Ed Woodward. We all believe the same. If it was up to us, we'd get rid of the owners as well. We'd get rid of the Glazers. We'd have some sort of a fan union or something where fans owned the club, and they weren't another sort of chairman, kind of like Mike Ashley, but nowhere near as horrible or shit, where they're siphoning money out of the club and all this stuff. They have actually improved our commercial success quite drastically since they've been in charge with all their business ventures and things like that. But maybe our football has suffered because they haven't invested recently, at least in the side, which they should 100% be doing. We haven't invested in the side this last transfer window and addressed the problems we've got at the back. That's a lot down to the owners. It's a lot down to Ed Woodward. A lot down to Jose Mourinho. Take that prick Paul Pogba with you too. Just send them all on the way. That's my opinion. Beyond Belief comments says, stand by the manager. Famous word from Alex Ferguson on his retirement speech. And I loved it and I wanted to do that. And I was doing that up until it became too much. It became like it just wasn't possible United could go on and actually change our fortunes. It became realistic that United would just get even further behind and languish even more. So we had to make the decision with David Moyes. This situation is getting there. It really has. In my opinion, it's already got there, but it's getting there. He's hanging on to this job by the skin of his teeth. Right, I'm going to wrap it up now, everybody, but thanks so much for stopping by. Oh, we've got a super chat here from Son Goku Ian 97 before I go. Obviously, I can't not read out these super chats. Thanks to everybody who's got involved with the super chat today. Much appreciated. It means a lot that you'd actually send some support via a super chat to this channel, or you just want to get your comments heard to as many people as possible. But either way, thanks so much. You can actually support this channel even more if you want by clicking the link in the description and checking out my Patreon page, where, I don't, just go check it out if you want, if you know that sort of shit. Anyway, thanks for your comment here, Son Goku Ian 97. Commenter says, I kind of hoped we lost tonight so we can sack him sooner. Just drags the hideousness in the club. Yeah, and he says LY pig, which I think means love you pig. If it does, thanks so very much. If you call me a liar, then don't appreciate that. But no, thank you so much for your comment there, mate. And I agree. It's similar to what Gungshi said earlier. I think it was Gungshi. Or maybe Alex Rudd, actually. It was Alex Rudd. He said about it, actually being a problem that Jose Mourinho may stay now after this win, whereas if we had a loss today, the pressure on the board to get rid would have been so big that they probably would have gone and done it, especially over the international break. And in my opinion, it is bad in a way that we've won this game because it continues our misery. I don't think Jose is going to get this team performing after the international break and get us attacking and get us entertaining and get us winning, more importantly than anything else, even if we're playing defensively. But we're grinding out wins. We're beating teams like Chelsea. That would be amazing. We will see how we do in that Chelsea game. I'm not looking forward to it in a way. I'm not feeling optimistic about it, with very good reason, because we've been so poor. If Jose is manager, what are we going to get? We're going to get defensive shambles, aren't we? We're going to get players all over the place who don't know their roles. He's probably going to change the formation to like a 2-7-1 or something. He's all over the place at the minute, Jose Mourinho. It's evident to see by how the players are performing out there on the pitch. So the misery may continue if he's manager. If we'd have lost today, maybe he would have got the sack, and that would have been better for us long term. That's what we've got to see. Only time will tell. It's very easy for me to say this. The commenter earlier said, what if we'd have got rid of Sir Alex when there was all that pressure on him at the start of his United career, when he was fading to begin with, before we went on this massive run of success, which the likes of which will never be seen again? What if we'd have done that at the time? Well, then we wouldn't have had that legacy. We wouldn't have had that success. The Premier League era would not have been Manchester United's. Most likely, because we wouldn't have had him at the club. And Jose is a special manager. Look at his history. Look at his trophy cabinet. It doesn't lie. He's won shitloads of stuff. He's very, very successful. He hasn't done it for us at the moment, though, and I don't think he's going to. I just don't think he's the right fit for the club. He's not the right fit tactics-wise. He's not the right fit mentality-wise. He's not the right fit professionally-wise. Think about if we had somebody like Eddie Howe. I know Eddie Howe, you can't even compare the CV with Jose Mourinho. He's on another level. But in terms of the style of football he plays, in terms of professionalism, how he carries himself, how he represents the club, how he does stuff behind closed doors, I think there's a lot to be said for his managerial style over Jose Mourinho's. Anyway, I'm going to wrap it up there. Thank you so much to everybody who stopped by on this live stream. Thanks so much for stopping by. Let me know your thoughts and opinions on the game, on Mourinho, on everything. Just let me know your thoughts. I really want to know. And if I've not read out your comments or responded to your comments during this live stream, obviously I apologise. I can't respond to everybody, but I will respond to as many people as I can in the comments section after this video has been published. So come back in a couple of minutes, get your thoughts and opinions in permanently so they stick around, and I'll respond to them. So will everybody else. You can follow me on social media at Mr. Flying Pig HD if you so wish. So there, just to conclude, United somehow managed to scrape a win today against Newcastle United, who were absolutely gash-tastic, and that's the only reason that we've actually managed to do that, because most teams would have knocked us for 6 today come half-time. We were that gash-tastic in the first half. It's a bloody miracle! It's the Mourinho miracle, isn't it? It's the Mourinho miracle, this, because maybe we could just go on and win the freaking league, lads. Eeny, meeny, miny, Mourinho, no. Catch a Portuguese Mr. Bean by his toe. If he's shit, let him go. Take that pop with you too. Anyway, that was a shit end to the video, but thanks so much for getting involved with the live stream. I'll see you soon. Let me know your thoughts and opinions on the game. Until next time, I've been the pig. You've been classy, unless you're a Scouser, and I'll see you very, very soon. Sort your freaking lives out, Manchester United, but also at the same time, come on, United.